the extraordinary, ordinary. It's all in good fun, right? So this was a really fun tag to do and challenging to think about the answers to. Hi everyone, it's me, Jess. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, I'm so happy to have you here. Today I'm going to be catching up on the tags that I've been tagged for, starting with one which I don't know how long ago I was tagged for this tag. So I apologize in advance to Erin. Erin Facer tagged me in this tag. Hi Erin! Thanks for tagging me. This is actually called the Extraordinarily Average Tag. And I was tagged by Erin Facer 3 months ago. Thanks for tagging me, Erin, and I'm very sorry that it's taken me this long to come up with some witty answers to the tag's questions. I'm very excited though to do the tag. So the original tag was created by David Wiley, and I will put a link to Erin's version of this tag, his answers, and also David Wiley's original version in the description box below. Let's get into the answers. Now, I did find this a very challenging tag to do. I think that I was quite intimidated about how to answer the questions on this tag. And I think I was looking at some other people's videos, and I do think that people did struggle a little bit with this tag because it's a challenge to just decide what is average and what is extraordinary. I think I interpreted this tag as meaning perhaps underrated or sometimes overlooked, but even that probably doesn't make sense for my answers. So I guess context is everything. So I'll try to explain my answers as best I can. Remembering to take the pressure off myself, remembering that this is all in good fun. I decided that I would come on and film anyway, even though I don't think my answers are all that fantastic. So let's get into it. The first question is, what is a book that is viewed as average but you felt was extraordinary? So I decided to choose a book that even I haven't highlighted as much on this channel as I would have liked to. I have a couple of other ideas that I might have answered for this, but I'm going to go with this one. People might say in the comments below, and you wouldn't be wrong, that this book is very well known and very lauded and very appreciated in general society, and that's true. But I don't think it's recognized enough here on BookTube, and I don't see enough people talking about it when they talk about their favorite class or the best classics that they've ever read. So I decided to highlight Thérèse Raquin by Émile Zola, because this book I didn't know about, and when I found it in the book box and decided to read it last summer, it kind of blew me away. I really was blown away by Thérèse Raquin. It was such a great read. It's like a psychological thriller, but written in like 1867. And not that that wasn't possible. I'm aware that it was possible, but the story of Thérèse Raquin just gripped me from beginning to end. It's storytelling that really, I think, is extraordinary. His writing style is so powerful and compelling that I just think it's an extraordinary piece of writing. Aside from being, it's considered a significant work because of its realism, although that is obviously an interesting thing to study from an academic perspective. It's just a really good story, and it's really well written, and I really want to read it in its original language. So it tells the story of Thérèse, and it's about how she's in an arranged marriage with her cousin who's quite sickly and whom she doesn't love. His name is Camille. She ends up falling in love with another character, an artist named Laurent. And then I guess I don't want to tell you what happens from there. The story is about adultery, but it's also about It's a psychological thriller, so let's just say it gets very exciting. There's some violence and passion, and it's extraordinary. It really is an extraordinarily ordinary book, in my opinion. So yeah, if you haven't read Tayasalakan, I would recommend picking it up. It's fantastic. It's really good. Well, the next question is, who is an author who is viewed as average but you felt was extraordinary? I had to sort of make a decision here. So I do think that there are quite a few writers who sometimes, because they produce a lot of work and not all of their work is fantastic, their popularity dwindles. And I think sometimes they can get lost a little bit with time. And I know that this isn't going to work as an answer for those of you that watch who are living in the UK, but I do feel like that in North America, at least what my experience has been living here in Canada and just trying to find this author's books, even used copies of this author's books are very, very difficult to find. So the author that I'm talking about is, in my view, an underrated, she's underrated, and that would be Daphne du Maurier. And I know that everyone in the UK loves Daphne du Maurier, can find her books everywhere, but here in Canada, it is so difficult to find Daphne du Maurier's books. And I haven't read her entire collection, and I know that some of her books are not that great, but the ones that I have read, I must say, are so good. They're so good. And so I don't think of her as being average at all. I think of her as being an extraordinary writer. What's your favorite Daphne du Maurier? Let me know in the comments below. So Daphne du Maurier, I think, is viewed as average by a lot of people. Just your average, kind of in the same vein as Agatha Christie, Patricia Highsmith, all these authors who, but they're so good. So Daphne du Maurier is my choice for that. Now we're going to move out of the bookish content for this tag. So the third question is, who is a musician or band whose music is considered average but you felt was extraordinary? Again, I had a very difficult time just choosing one answer for this, but if I had to choose one, I would highlight a Canadian band that comes originally from my home province of Nova Scotia, and that would be, yes, you guessed it, Sloan. I don't know if people have heard of Sloan outside of Canada. I know they're very popular in Canada, and I don't know why they haven't been more popular outside of Canada. Maybe they are. Let me know in the comments below if you're a viewer from outside of Canada and you've heard of Sloan and you like Sloan. But I have to plug them here because I think that their music is actually pretty extraordinary. And down in the description box below, I'll provide you with a link to one of their songs. And if you haven't listened to Sloan, give them a listen because I think they're underrated, at least outside of Canada. So number 4, what is a TV show or movie that is considered average but you felt was extraordinary? What am I going to say? So I'm going to say my answer to this is going to be Law and Order. Law and Order. I used to watch that show. I'm dating myself. But Law and Order is one of those shows that I would watch it religiously. And what I love about Law and Order, and it's very difficult, by the way, to get versions of Law and Order unless you buy, I think it's owned by NBC, so it's a little bit tricky to get versions of Law and Order. But the very early episodes of Law and Order are so good, and they deal with so many social justice issues and political issues. So in the package of crime, like a true crime or a detective story. And what I love about Law and Order is it goes from the policing, people probably already know this already, but they go from the policing part of the story to when the crime happens, to the legal part of the story, to when the crime is prosecuted. And I just think it's a fantastic show, totally underrated. Law and Order SVU as well. Fantastic. Ice-T is on Law and Order as Special Victims Unit. That's what it stands for. Ice-T. Anyway, maybe Ice-T is underrated. I don't know. Maybe Ice-T. No, not my music choice. Underrated as an actor, perhaps. I'm digressing. Okay. Number 5, what is a booktube channel whose subscriber count is average but you feel is extraordinary? So I'm going to say that I know that in the bookish community we all love this booktuber, but I think it's a shame that this booktuber doesn't have more subscribers, and that is Nell. of Nell and Scott of Gunpowder Fiction and Plot. I do not understand why Nell doesn't have thousands of subscribers. How many subscribers does Nell have at this point? So Nell is at Book Hunt and she has 363 subscribers. That is a disgrace. That is a disgrace. Like, Nell should have more subscribers than I have, 100%. So Nell, I think you're extraordinary and I think you should have more subscribers. Make more videos. I love your videos. The other booktuber who I wanted to give a shout out to, who I also think is pretty extraordinary, who's undersubscribed, although it looks like people are paying attention to her, is Monica at Dog-Eared Musings, who just makes these fantastic videos that are so engaging and topical. So I highly recommend Monica. I know that she just hit 500 subscribers. She actually has 519 subscribers. But again, this is a booktuber who I think should have a lot more subscribers than 519 subscribers. So those are my two picks for extraordinary booktubers who I think are under-subscribed. What is a skill you are average at, but you'd like to become extraordinary? So all my life, I've wanted to be a really good artist, visual artist. So, but I have dabbled in painting and drawing, but my drawing skills are very poor. I wouldn't even say they're average. I would say they're kind of poor, but that hasn't stopped me from continuing to draw because I really want to be good at it. And I know that it's a skill that can be developed over time. I just haven't had time to be able to develop it as a skill. And I think it would take me more time than a lot of other people to develop it as a skill, if ever. Sometimes I meet people who can draw and they'll just doodle and draw. And I'm just like, how do you do that? It's amazing to me. It's a skill I really wish that I could become extraordinary at, but I think it's an impossible mission. Number 7, you find a time machine that will take you back in time for a day, but the day you select must be an average day. Where would you go and what would you do to make the trip extraordinary? Okay, so if I could go in a time machine, I would go back to 1985. I would totally go back to 1985. And I would go to the movie theater and I would watch, I think it came out in 1985, and I would go and see The Breakfast Club in the movie theater. And that would make my day extraordinary. That would be so fantastic. Maybe I would try to see if I could meet like Ali Sheedy, and that would just add to it. Like if she could come with me, that would be fantastic. I'm so Gen X, it's ridiculous. Okay, question number 8. You win a 1 week's vacation, but all of the regular popular travel spots are all booked up. Where would you go and what would you do to make the trip extraordinary? The one place that I would go, it doesn't even matter where. It could be any town, well, within reason. I don't want to travel for like 24 hours and go to Australia for this reason only. But if I could just go to the coast, anywhere on the coast, and sit on, I'm going to get all teary-eyed for this. I did not know I was going to get teary-eyed. But if I could just be by the ocean, if I can just be by the ocean, I will be a happy girl. Like if I can just sit and watch the waves crashing on the shore somewhere, that would make any trip extraordinary for me. I absolutely love the ocean, and look, I'm getting all choked up about the ocean. What is going on? Okay, so now I'm supposed to tag people for this tag who have extraordinary channels. There's so many extraordinary people that you could tag. I could tag 10 people for this. I'm just gonna randomly choose from my subscription list so that I don't feel the pressure of leaving anyone out. So for this tag, and I don't know if these YouTubers, or I don't know if these booktubers do tag so much, but I'm still gonna tag them because I don't know if they've already done this tag or if they'd be interested. So I'm gonna tag Charlie at Charlie Brooke Reads. Oh, Kit the Reader. I love Kit the Reader's channel as well. I'm going to tag, I'd love to hear Scott's answers to these questions and Nell's answers to these questions. So maybe Scott and Nell, you could do like a paired video to answer the extraordinarily average tag for me. That would be amazing. And a new to me booktuber, Elise. I think it's Elise at Elise Reads. Yes, love her channel. Also undersubscribed. So there you go. There are my answers to the extraordinarily average book tag. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. It was so nice that you stuck with me to the end of this video. Please check out the booktubers videos who I mentioned, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! Specifically one chord to another. I think that album. Do you guys want to hear about my honorable mentions? So my honorable mentions for extraordinarily average band would be the Violent Femmes, because I feel like only anybody ever listens to the one song by the Violent Femmes, and actually that record is really good. What is that record called? And the other band was Big Sky, which is a band from around the same time as like all those great 70s bands that like nobody listens to anymore. They're fantastic. And my other choice for authors, I think I said Patricia Highsmith, Kate Atkinson. Who else? There was someone else I was thinking about talking about, but I forget now. My brain is like a sieve.